Aloha, beautiful souls. They are controlling you. It's true. The mass brainwashing that's happening right now. The programming of the mind, right? To get you to change your beliefs, for you to enter without your free will, right? Let's talk about it. Let's get into this, right? Let's go into the food, right? Let's go into the water. Let's go into how the programming actually works from the physical first, right? Because, of course, if you have a toxic system, right, you're not allowed to enter the higher consciousness. Therefore, it's really easy, to be controlled, to be in that vulnerable state 24/7, right? So that's where we need to start. We need to start with the physical manifestation of all of this, right? It's beyond obvious that once the light is activated within your system, that's when the clarity comes. Once the Anya chakra, once this kundalini, once all of this is activated, right? Then you can see beyond the veil of illusion. But most people are stuck in the matrix. Most people are stuck in that web of duality and that 3D life, stuck in the age of materialism, based on the belief that the body and this physical dimension is all that there is. And why is that? Really ask yourself that question. Why is that the majority of the consciousness? Why aren't people allowed to ascend? Why aren't people able to get to the next level, right? Here we are in 2021, going into the next year with all these new experiences, to say the least. And this is because we are all going through the Great Awakening. Whether you realize that or not is a completely another conversation, and it's happening right now. So the mass control, the mass brainwashing, the mass propaganda, and this very old concept is nothing new, right? We have to go way, way back, to the exact foods and how they were made and how they were changed and genetically altered. Going back even before that, as far as why was the fluoride put in the water in the first place, right? Why was the chemicals and the GMO foods and Monsanto, Bayer, why is this corporate pharmaceutical, world and agenda being played out in the first place? It's extremely simple to me. It always comes back to the same thing, and that is your spiritual path. That is the energy, right? What are you doing to awaken the spirit? You see, because as long as, again, you have this belief that this is only the body, we are only living this physical, scientific world, right? Then there will be no more than that. There will never be more than that until you experience something beyond it. And in order to do that, you have to have the proper environment. And most people honestly just don't have that environment where they can thrive. They don't have the access to this information, to these foods, to the clean air, clean water, these very simple things. So let's go way back, all right, to the creation of religion and these texts and these books and all of these things that changed our access to this information in higher consciousness, right? Because we were all one at the very top, in the very Sat Yuga, at the very top of this golden circle, right? Remember, time isn't linear. It's not from point A to point B. It's a circle. It's always moving. There's a constant motion, because that's what energy is. It's constantly in motion. So Sat Yuga at the very top, right? We were all enlightened. We're all doing our thing. There is no peace, there is no war, none of that doesn't exist, because it's all golden, it's all light, to oppose it. You see, and then slowly as we descended and started falling asleep, these practices, these religions, these things were invented, right, to instill that light back within us. And things were altered, things were changed, right? Books were written, right, because we have forgotten this knowledge, right? Many books, many interpretations of those truths and of that light have changed our ability to access what we would call higher consciousness. So that's where it all started, right? So you really have to dig deep here, because the foods that you're eating, the water that you're drinking, the environment that you're in is all predetermined on what you can limit as far as accessing the information and accessing the higher consciousness and the potential that you can be in this form here and now. I want to give a shout out to everybody watching, everybody listening on the podcast, everybody here joining me live. We have the beautiful sound of the rain coming in, of the abundance, right? All of this beautiful rain is going in my tank. I'm so excited right now to live 100% off the grid. When it rains, I just love it. And I can really feel the energy, and I'm happy to share that and transmit that with all of you right now. And this is a part of it, right? The water. You see what I mean? Because we have access to living water, but then it got contaminated. And then once the pineal gland is so calcified, once your organs are so toxic, once the body can no longer function, how can we expect higher consciousness? How can we expect even common sense? You see what I mean? It's not going to happen. So here we are, just a couple, years later, and everyone is aware now of the fluoride. I think everyone is aware of, the contamination in the water systems and our food systems, but is everyone aware of the contamination of the mind? Right? The contamination of what you're putting into your eyes. The subconscious is absorbing everything, even if you're physically not looking at it, right? So your energetic field is so important here. So shout out to everybody right now who is cultivating that awareness, who is aspiring to the infinite cup, who is getting deeper on that journey, on the path. It's not easy. Look at all of these contaminants. Look at all of these obstacles that we have to overcome just to have a simple spiritual life. Something that is rooted in spirit instead of rooted in the artificial is actually rare these days. So here you are. You've made it to the other side. Congratulations. I'm happy to be here with you. Now, all of this programming, all of this control, all of this brainwashing, right, is not going away. In fact, it's getting worse. Have you noticed that? Have you experienced that? It's almost like impossible to commune or talk to people, right, who are unaware of it, who are just stuck in the matrix in some form, because it's just so exhausting at this point. And I'm not trying to put an us versus them on it. I'm just letting you know that it's like, that's the gap that is there now. That's the dimensional gap, the frequency gap based off the energy that is coming from the matrix and based off the energy that is coming from the 5D and the new earth. So that's what this is always about, right? Your spiritual path, your spiritual journey, getting deeper into what it means to be a new earth, what it means to be in 5D. Right? And the biggest obstacle that the matrix has created, right? This biggest thing that they can conjure up is happening right now. And it all comes back down to the belief. It all comes back down to the mind. It all comes back down to the ability, right, to perceive beyond the illusion. Again, we all know what it was like, right? To have that level of control, to be so stuck in your identity, to be so stuck in who you thought you were that there is nothing beyond it. There is nothing that is going to happen because you literally don't know anything beyond it at all. People who are stuck in the matrix, people who are stuck in 3D, do not know that 5D exists. And if you try to tell it to them, you're going to get laughed at and called crazy and get ridiculed, you know what I mean, and all these things. It's just not going to work, right? So this is proof of exactly what I'm talking about, which is it all has to come from within. All of that energy, all of that obstacles, right? All of them are internal. Yes, they happened from the outside, but we accepted it. You see what I mean? When you accept the fact that this is your quality of water and that's all that you get, and you're constantly just drinking the fluoride water and you don't have access to the spring water, how are you supposed to calcify your pineal gland? How are you supposed to unlock higher consciousness? You see, it's just not going to happen, right? How are you supposed to get to the next level, right? If your body is so toxic, you see what I mean? Like, it's just simply not going to happen. You know, Robert, how do I open my third eye? How do I unlock higher consciousness? How do I do this? How do I do that? This is a daily practice. And it all starts with the programming. It all starts with the control, right? We all understand that at some part in the game, we were duped. We were controlled. We were following orders. We were the sheep. You're just listening to the shepherd. That's it. Because that's all you knew what to do. And here you are now on the other side. You have become the shepherd. You have become the chosen one. And it's just beautiful to see all of you here. It's just beautiful. So now let's really examine these chemicals. Let's really get into all of this, right? The fluoride that I'm talking about is a chemical that was put in the water, right? supposedly to whiten teeth, right? Notice how everything is given to us as a incentive for something positive in your life. Oh, you need this fluoride in your water because it's good for you, it's better for your teeth, it's better for oral health, it's better for hygiene, it's better for this, it's better for that. When actuality, this is a product, which is petroleum, right? Which is a chemical, which is something that is literally not food grade or not meant by man. See? And now it's in our common everyday food source. And that's just one of many. An even bigger one is canola oil, right? You understand that canola and this corn oil is not food. This is meant as a byproduct. All of these foods have been slipped into our food system, and here we are. Had to tell you that all of these things, right? High fructose corn syrup. People are aware of that by now. Red food coloring, number 4. Yellow food coloring. This stuff is so common. How about this? Why are there foods and Mountain Dew or Pepsi or certain drinks, right, that have different ingredients in different countries? Why? Think about that. Why are certain countries banning certain ingredients and other countries aren't? You see what I mean? Just the fact that certain countries allow this and allow that is proof of exactly what I'm talking about, which is it's not going to happen. This is proof of something that has nothing to do with nutrition, has nothing to do with the better of mankind. It is only going to create more profit margins and dollar signs for the people that are benefiting. And that's it. And you don't have to take my word for it. Please do the research for yourself. Because this has been happening for so long. This is nothing new here. The only thing that is new is the technology that you have access to get this information out there to every single person, right? There is so much happening right now. Everything that you're experiencing is happening because it needs to happen. So remember that, right? As we go deeper through these levels of control, right? Remember when you broke free. Remember the first day that you were aware of fluoride. Can you remember that? Remember the day that you started to figure out that there was chemtrails in the air. Remember the day that Monsanto and these corporations are contaminating the food and changing the seeds, right? And taking away our rights and not allowing us to have seed banks and huge lawsuits, and these things are happening left and right. Big corporations. Remember when Monsanto was getting sued, right? For glyphosate and all of these chemicals that were being sprayed on our food, right? Not just soy and corn. I'm talking about everything that's not organic, right? So this is happening right now. Now, do you remember the day when it happened yourself? Do you remember when you figured it out? When you were like, wait, why is this happening? Why are they putting this in the food? Why are they putting this in the water? You see? You never asked the question, why? You see? And we all know the answer. And it is so obvious by now. So if that was being done, and now this new version that we are all experiencing is nothing different. I'm not going to get into the labels. Remember, this is 100% censored content. You are listening to the podcast, which is censored. You're watching the videos now, which are 100% censored because a lot of my content is being removed. And please, if you want access to the uncensored content, you have to get on Patreon. You got to get to the Inner Circle group, get on Signal, communicate with other members 24/7. We're talking about this stuff all the time. All right, so I would love to see you over there. I just want to remind you that I just can't say what I really want to say right here. And there's a lot of information that you can get access to over on Patreon. We have a weekly Zoom meeting. I would love to see all of you there on the private Zoom calls, okay? And this is a good way to get around the censorship. And I know we're all experiencing it at different levels, okay? So right now, this brainwashing, this programming, and it's not going to go away. In fact, the tactics, right? The means to program, the means to control are only getting worse and more severe, right? We are entering this digital age. We're entering the metaverse. We're entering Web 3.0. We are entering a new world, right? So you have a very simple choice, right? Are you going to accept this? Are you going to contribute to this artificial thing? Or are you going to go deeper and go towards the spirit and go towards that new earth, that 5D consciousness, that ascension, that spiritual path, whatever that means to you? What is it going to take? Right? Because right now there are countless souls stuck in that matrix grid, stuck in the old belief, the old paradigm, thinking that they cannot escape because there is nothing to do but just to be stuck in it. You see, when you are so controlled, when you're so toxic, when your brain is literally not capable of experiencing higher consciousness, how can you even talk about it? How can you convince somebody that chakras and energy and astral projection or unlocking the third eye, or even that the third eye exists? How can you even talk about that stuff to somebody who is completely under the impression or the belief that the body is only physical and we're gonna die and that's it, and there's no life after death, there's no reincarnation, there's no spirit, right? There's none of this. You see what I mean? Because the physical body is where we need to start first. All of this is exactly where we need to start first. So remember that, because we're experiencing this to a degree that a lot of us simply can't understand, right? And that's happening for a reason, based off the language, you see? Keeping people at that lower vibration, keeping people in that lower state on purpose. All right, so remember that, because all of us have to take our journey to the next level. We all have to stand up, you see, because yes, they are controlling you. Yes, the brainwashing is happening. Yes, the matrix and all of this is going down, right? But that doesn't mean that we have to let it happen, you see? Because we can create new earth, we can go deeper into this energy and overcome it. All of us. Joseph, thank you for being here, brother. Happy to connect with you. I needed to hear this. You're feeding my mind. I'm here. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for being here, Joseph. Appreciate you for being here. Laura, you're asking what fluoride is. Fluoride is a very, very toxic chemical that is used in many industries and is in most of the drinking water across the globe. JT, exactly, brother. Yes, fluoride is used in rat poison. Fluoride is used in all kinds of things. You don't want it in your body. This is the number one thing that is causing the to calcify the pineal gland. All right. Lucky for some of us, we were born with our third eye open. Even then, it was hard. I didn't know what the F was going on and why I acted as if they were possessed. Exactly. All right. This is the energy we're talking about. I'm happy that other people know exactly what this is. Happening for a reason, so remember that, everybody. This is not going to be some accidental thing, right? All of these things are happening because they need to be pushed out.